Yes.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
perfect,
Yes.
perfect. Thank you. Hey, I mean, as I mentioned, everyone. So this is our journey going to be okay. Um, Earlier, what we did was we did IaaS and PaaS together. I'm just telling. So previous batches, we did IaaS and PaaS together. Together in the sense they used to give a half an hour break and then start the PaaS. But what we felt is it's getting overloaded. So we stopped the IaaS and PaaS patches together. So now IaaS will complete. And once everybody practices and gets very strong on the IaaS, then we will talk about PaaS. Okay, so PaaS is a different course, IaaS is a different course. So anyways, I'm going into the introduction of the cloud. Before that, want to let you all know that if you want to, anybody who learns cloud, whether it is AWS, whether it is Azure, any cloud, sir, the most important thing is first understanding the platform. How is cloud built? From on what it is built? Infrastructure, sir. Infrastructure is the most important thing. How can we comfortably work on a cloud space without knowing infrastructure? Somebody called me recently and said that there was a counseling call, and they said that, Katie, I do not want to learn infrastructure. I'm not interested in all that. I want only my DBA work or a specific product that I want to learn. Then I said, okay, fine. If that is what you want, we can't help it. But I would always recommend to explore the IaaS part, get very strong at it. So because every IaaS part you're seeing on the screen, right? Every IaaS part inside, this is called as PaaS. I will talk about that. So this is PaaS and that is IaaS. In PaaS, right? Everywhere IaaS will be used. So, sir, these all things run on IaaS. Infrastructure is the fundamental and the basic of the cloud. And if you want to know about, if you want to explore Azure space, knowing infrastructure is the most important thing, sir. So now, if you can see, let us go with the introduction part. So I will introduce Azure now. We are starting in few minutes. After that, we will talk about our topic will be today will be introduction. Tomorrow will be virtual machines. I'll show you setting up a virtual machine and all that. So virtual machine is an easy topic. We all know it, very, very easy. But along with virtual machines, there are a lot of other things in virtual machines that you need to know. How to monitor them, how to store all the logs and all that. So there are a lot of interesting things about virtual machines. So introduction first, followed by virtual machines. So as I said, we are planning it for five to 6 weekends, 2 hours, 45 minutes on Saturday, 2 hours, 45 minutes on Sunday. So that would be a decent time to cover all this and should be really sufficient. Now, moving on. Intro and Azure VMs is our first weekend discussion. Do not count this weekend as a first weekend. May I request you all for that? Because few more friends are joining. Today I'll introduce mostly. Do not count. So let's count from next weekend, sir. So intro and Azure VMs. This is the first part. Next weekend, count it next weekend. And after that is storage. Hard disk. Sir, in your office, on premises, we all use storage area network, SAN. SAN is where we store all our data. So this is Microsoft's vast SAN and how it works. What are the speeds? What are the different types of disks? What is a managed disk? What is unmanaged disk? So all this, what is a geo redundant storage? What are the different storage tools that we have? So we will be discussing all the types of important things that we need to know about Azure storage. One exclusive weekend for storage, Saturday and Sunday, both for storage. And so next is Azure networking. And Azure networking will give us a complete idea about how networking should be set up in Azure. Okay. On premises, we have switches, routers, and everything, right? I mean, we connect networks through switches and routers and all that. So, okay. In Azure, how it is different? What is difference between on-premises network and Azure network? That topic also will be discussing. And after that is Azure Active Directory. So I would say, Logesh, maybe you call it as LDAP, lightweight directory access protocol in the Unix front end and in Oracle space. But in SQL Server or in the Microsoft space, not SQL Server, I'm so sorry, in the Microsoft space, we call it as Active Directory. Now, KD, why should I learn about Active Directory? Azure runs on Active Directory, sir. The fundamental, the basic thing about Azure is Active Directory. So even Ramtu or for anyone who are not DBAs also, it is very important to know about Active Directory. And because basic fundamental of Azure is Active Directory. when we discuss those topics, you will understand. There are different types of Active Directories we'll be implementing. Yeah. And then, sir, after networking, you see the topic again called networking plus plus. Now, why did I call it as networking plus plus is because there are few other components in networking that we should know called VPN. I mean, Katie, in on premises, you have your own different VPNs, right? Can you help me some with VPN names, please? Cisco. What else? Cisco, Fortinet. Can you help me with some VPN names? Cisco. How do you connect to a VPN, sir, from home? Cisco.
RNAS.
Sorry.
RNAS.
Okay, RNAS. Anything else you guys are using? Mostly Cisco, is it?
FortiClient.
FortiClient, yeah, as I mentioned, FortiClient. Anyone else, sir? Or all this? That's all.
PulseSecure.
PulseSecure, yeah. Nowadays it is very famous. PulseSecure.
After
so
PulseSecure, we like NetScaler Gateway.
Got it. So these are some VPN solutions,
but
right? Meaning,
Deepak, but with PulseSecure VMs we cannot able to connect, right?
No, we can, sir. We are using it as well.
No, actually, in our environments, if we connect with PulseSecure, we can able to access mails and all these things, but VMs.
Maybe they would have restricted in your environment, but for us, it works perfectly. Yeah, so that means a VPN. Topic is VPN, virtual private network. But Katie, why should I know about VPN? No, sir. In Azure itself, if one network is in US and one network is in India, example I'm saying, okay, and you want to connect them, US and India, if you want to connect them, sir, you need some services like networking plus, or VPN, virtual private network, and there are some gateways that we need to create. So this is what networking plus is. You will create VPNs, be it point to site VPNs. We will create and work with them. And last but not the least is there are many other Azure other services, add-on services. We call them as containers, scale sets, service fabric, app services, functions. Hey, for Ramtu, a little helpful for you there on the application side. So these are our topics that we are going to cover in the infrastructure as a service. Any questions? This is our course. So ignore the PaaS part. PaaS part I will talk to you later if you're interested, but this is the IaaS part. Okay, so no questions. Can we move on? Okay. And to talk about me, as I mentioned, so I'm a Microsoft certified trainer, and I've been training on Azure plus SQL Server. I'm mostly Microsoft connected. Yes, sir.
One quick question. So if we complete that IaaS, right? If you know about that IaaS, will it be useful for us to take the Azure admin certifications?
Absolutely, sir. AZ-104. And we are also covering not only Azure admin, AZ-104 is the paper. I would suggest to go this way, AZ-900 fundamentals paper. That is only the names, it's not complicated, AZ-900, okay? So followed by AZ-104. 104 is our Azure admin paper. And along with that, sir, after that, AZ-300, which is a little advanced, 303 and 304, which is architect. So now architect topics also we have included in this one. So what you should do is, actually 104 is the real name for this. The other name for this course is AZ-104. But if you compare the course curriculum of AZ-104 and this one, you will find some extra topics, which have been taken from AZ-303 and 304. So we'll talk about certifications a little later, sir. But good that you bought this point. AZ-104 is the paper, Azure admin. Okay, so everyone, with that, if no questions, can I go forward and start the discussion technically today? Yeah. So this will be a fun-filled slide. Cool guy, a girl and a boy on a happy Sunday, Saturday. So let's start with my serious presentations also will come, but the introduction slides I'll keep it cool and simple, right? So let us see from where this cloud evolved, who started cloud, and I'll have a small question for you, who is father of cloud and all, but in a moment, not now. So first of all, if you really look back in you really look back once, if we have a peep back into past, we will see that data centers. So this is how the journey has come up, right? This is how the journey has evolved. Can you see on the screen? You see that we initially started with traditional data centers, old data centers initially, and then we started focusing on HADR, safety of the data centers, another branches, and keeping the data centers there, multiple data centers. And then this is how evolution happened. Okay, let me go point by point and talk about evolution. So first, when data centers were launched, right? So yeah, so you can see the good and the ugly, the good, bad, and the ugly. The above one is good, well-organized data center, right? Well-organized data center in the first run, sir. Yeah, and if you look at the bottom, I mean, these screens, you can see that, okay, this is also still not bad, but this is, you can see some not so good, well-managed data centers, and let's not talk about this one. So this is I mean, don't be surprised. I have seen such a data center on the top left. I have seen this data center for one of the companies. I cannot tell the company name, but yeah, I worked in one of the data centers which was so pathetic as that. But nowadays we don't get to see data centers. Mostly we will work from home and our office, and we don't go into the data center and see inside. Access is not being given. But earlier, because I started my career 18 years back, so we used to go into data centers and work on those data centers physically. So let's move on. So major issues with data center are, as you can see, power issues, mainly power. You need power, lot of power, and monitoring, proper monitoring required, and capacity planning, sir. If space is consumed, you need more space to be allocated to people, right? More space is required. And then, sir, if a crash occurs of a real time, some event occurs in real time, reporting. I mean, some rack, in one rack, one of the servers crashed. So how do we send the real-time updates? These are all some challenges, sir. And managing performance of all that, some hundreds and thousands of servers kept at one place, managing performance is another hectic thing. So these are some major issues all companies faced with data centers, and they wanted, our data centers are good, but we want a better option than a data center. Something better. What next? What next after? Data centers were good, sir. Data centers have helped for decades. 10 years, 20 years, for decades. Okay. So Amrita, it's okay. Fine. We'll wait. Let him. Yeah. Amrita will wait. No problem. I can see that you're. Yeah.
No, my kid has pressed some button.
No problem. So we'll wait. I'm just saying. Show him that 2 pictures, then he'll be seeing, at least, if he likes that slide. Yeah, show him that now.
He want that picture, it seems.
Okay, we will send it for sure. I'll send you on WhatsApp. Okay. Yeah, show him the dog now if he wants to see the dog, and let him learn Azure in parallel. Okay, so yeah, so let's okay. I mean, if you want to send him back or something, please plan it accordingly. Okay, so now we have issues with data centers, physical issues with data center, space issues, capacity planning. All these issues have always been a trouble managing a physical data center for the companies. Then what? I mean, then they thought, okay, chalo, let's think something beyond. So crashes also are common, right? So then they thought keeping everything in centralized one location is bad. Let us do diversification. If I'm storing one copy here, let me have one more copy, and that's what you call as DR, right? Head office and branch offices. I'm sorry, ignore this one, but look at this slide. Having a head office and a remote office, having a DR, you call it DR, right? Disaster recovery, DR setup. So we configure DRs, disaster recoveries. So Ramtu, maybe from an application standpoint, from a Java or those standpoint, you may not work on it, but just telling you, because we as admins definitely deal with this. So head office, remote office, keeping DR setup. If head office has some problem, remote office will manage data and everything from there, sir. And now, I mean, after that, now things have grown. I mean, I think we should use the word called massively decentralized, meaning not in one place, okay? Decentralized, keep everywhere, and globally you keep it. I mean, that's exactly what Microsoft did. So you'll understand in the next slides. Keep data centers globally. If a city goes off or something, natural calamity occurs, we have other space. And nowadays, you also know, right, sir? Elon Musk and NASA and all of these people are working on outer space data centers also. Something happens to Earth. So they are thinking beyond Earth as well, which is way superb, right? So fine, can we move on, sir? Nice. So now data centers, HADR, high availability and disaster recovery. It was now from normal data centers, people thought how to keep at different places. And after that, they started thinking about virtualization. So no, I don't know what you are seeing is evolution. Am I right? I mean, where it started, how it is growing, cloud came later. So this is evolution, sir. How progressively, how growth has been bought, how growth has been made. Okay, now let's talk about virtualization. So now they thought, okay, we have data centers in different locations, we are safe and all that. And after that, they thought, what else can we do? And then they thought, okay, fine, let's implement virtual machines. So virtualization is a technology which is there for almost like 2 decades now, right? 2 or 3 decades, if I'm not wrong. I'm seeing, I mean, from many years it is there. So if you Google, you will come to know. So hypervisor, so sorry for being Microsoft centric here. VMware is also there, and there are many other products, but you know, being a hardcore Microsoft fan, I've kept the hypervisor screenshot there. So Hyper-V is Microsoft's own product where you can create virtual machines. So then they thought, sir, why to have some thousands and thousands of servers in data center? Let us shrink the data center. Let's make it small. How can you make a data center small, sir? By using multiple. Then purchasing 10 servers, do one thing. Purchase one big server, way high configuration, one big server. In that server, create virtual machines, VMs. Okay. So if you're seeing me on the screen still, can you see here? I mean, this one. Yeah. It's a CPU. Visible? I'll make it visible to you. You see this? This is my, oops. That is my server. It's a tower server. It's not a rack server. I always have it with me so that, you know, I work on high-end stuff. It's high-end configuration. I have 2 Intel Xeon processors on this one. Xeon processors are server processors. They're very expensive. Each processor would cost somewhere around 1 lakh or something, or maybe more. So, and it has 2 Xeon processors and a 48 GB RAM and what else? Yeah, I mean 1 terabyte SSD and 2 terabyte SSD and all that. So I do my personal performance testing and all this in this. So you got my point, right? So servers are so powerful. So then purchase, you know, you tell me, then say this much server I'm using, right? I have a physical server, power I have to pay and all this. Rather than this, what else can I do now? So then purchasing 10 servers, I will purchase one big server like this and create virtual machines in that. So each machine will act like one machine. So physically I have safe space, or else my wife will kill me. My whole room will be filled with servers. So one big server is better than having multiple machines. So virtualization has made a big impact. Space reduction, data centers have been shrinked, and it has lots of benefits when it came, right? So, and any questions still here, sir? Are we good? Can I continue? We all use VMs in office, right? We all use, I mean, sure, Oracle DBS, SQL DBS, and RAM2, I'm sure your applications will be on VMs as well. So virtual machine is part and parcel of our life for many years. Right, sir? Done? Okay. What are you trying to tell, sir? I'll tell you. Then what happened, sir? After virtualization was done, the next evolution is in virtualization itself, sir. They started treating, so now, okay, I'm working RAM2, and RAM2 is a developer. Let's say, for example, Naveen is also a developer. Naveen is working on SQL Server, meaning Microsoft developer, and RAM2 is a, what do you say? Java developer. Okay. So now both of them want servers because they can test their applications. They want servers. Now RAM2 asked me for five servers. Mr. Naveen asked me for 15 servers. So 5 plus 15, 20 servers. Physical servers I can't give. So I'll create virtual machines and give them. Earlier, RAM2 used to tell me, I want 5 servers. Each server configuration he used to tell me. Earlier, sir, I'm talking about. He wants 5 virtual machines, right? And each virtual machine configuration, okay, this one needs 8 GB RAM, 2 processors. This one needs 16 GB RAM, 4 processors, and like that. So he's telling me all the configurations early. So then what happened? So from a single virtual machine, people started thinking matured model. They started thinking, why don't we break it into commodities? Commodity means storage. Storage is treated separately. So in companies itself, we will create one storage bank. We will create one network, big network and small networks. We will create processor bank, core bank, CPU bank, and we will create memory banks. Okay. So now Ramtu, if you want a virtual machine, you should tell me that, hey, I want same thing, sir, but now you are treating Ramtu wants 10% of CPU. Ramtu wants 15% of memory. So he will count. He will not ask me, I want 5 virtual machines, sir. He will say me that I want this much of power. So people started treating each hardware resource as a commodity. So, I mean, if you can see there, right? Earlier virtualization, later on virtualization started growing big. Too many machines were getting created in the company. Then they started thinking in another direction, sir. Let's talk resources. Amrita, if you want a virtual machine, tell me how many resources you want, how many processors you want, how much memory you want. That's it. Talk in the terminology of resources. Don't ask me that I want a virtual machine. Ask me that, of course, you want a virtual machine, but talk in the form of commodities. I want this much CPU. I want this much memory. I want this much IO. Then it will be given, sir. And company also will monitor from resources side. So resources have become a wonderful thing in every company. So this is the evolution, sir. Companies have evolved from data centers to multiple data centers, global data centers. From there, they started thinking about what else can we do to make things better, virtualization, and what else we can improvise in virtualization, treating everything as a resource, memory, CPU, IO, and that's where the great inventions started. So Jeff Bezos, you know whom I'm talking about? The man in the news, the richest man on earth, Amazon CEO, again man in the news, recently got divorced. So if you look at all these things and again in the news, because he and his brother are going to travel to
space.
Absolutely. I mean, they are traveling to Mars. I mean, that's he and his brother, both of them, they look almost the same. So again in news recently. So Jeff Bezos loves to be in the news. So anyway, sir, Jeff Bezos many years back thought that, we are selling servers, okay? People are selling servers. People are selling virtual. Why shouldn't I sell a virtual machine? Okay, I will keep virtual machine with me. I will create some huge amount of servers. If companies want, they will come to me. Companies or people, whoever. If they want, they will come to me and use my servers and pay for what they use. This idea sprouted for Mr. Jeff Bezos, sir, because you all know Amazon was the first company to implement cloud, and everybody knows this. It's a universal trade in 2006, if I'm not wrong. In the year 2006. Okay, sir. So any questions still here? So then cloud computing concept started. People started thinking cloud. So now again, we're always confused why the hell the word cloud comes from. Where did they pick this word called cloud? So now nobody knows an answer for this one. Because, you know, they don't want to reveal how many servers they have in the background. Nobody knows what's beyond the cloud, right? I mean, we know what's beyond the cloud, but ideally the cloud is just a layer, and what is the infrastructure inside it, they don't know. So you can connect to cloud is what they simply say. Cloud is just a terminology coined by someone, and that's it, sir. So can I do one thing, please? Before I move on, sir, can we see, first of all, a quick question to you. Who is father of cloud? Let's not say Jeff Bezos now. Definitely Jeff Bezos is not father of cloud. Who is father of cloud? Can you Google and tell me in a moment? I'll wait for you, sir. No problem. Take your time. Yeah, Sudhir mentioned AC temperature should be cool. Yeah, I mean data centers, right? Sorry, I missed your chat, Sudhir.
Yes. Otherwise, sometimes it will crash.
Data centers, right? Yeah, temperatures are very, very important to be maintained, right? Got the answer, sir? Who is father of cloud? Joseph Karl. Okay. I got one answer from Mr. Ram. Anyone else giving any other answers, please?
John McCarthy.
John McCarthy. Okay, sir. I mean, that's a correct answer. John McCarthy. Correct answer. One second, please. Just a moment. Just a minute. I'm sharing my screen again. John McCarthy, Joseph Karl. I'm getting any other names, sir? I mean, do you all agree that John McCarthy is father of? Google says Joseph Karl, Robnet Licklider. Oh my God. Is it one father or cloud has multiple fathers, sir? Amrita says Joseph Karl and Robnet Licklider. That's true. Cloud has multiple fathers, to be frank. Okay, so and Eric said not in a double sense, but in a true sense. But there are multiple people who worked on cloud evolution. A lot of people are there. Yes, of course, you know, out of all these people, as Naveen mentioned, what is the name that Naveen said?
John McCarthy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just asking others.
Oh, okay.
So,
sorry.
okay, no problem. So, as Naveen mentioned, John McCarthy is the 1 minute, sir. Where are you? Open up. Yeah, now I'm sharing my screen, please. So, I mean, this is how our curriculum content will be. Got it? I mean, you'll be getting an online link to the content, and you can read from here. And you can. It's an Evernote app. If you are not using Evernote, it's a nice app. You can install on your phone as well, or on your laptop or anywhere. And Evernote gives you access to our content. Okay, I'll share it with you now. So 1 second, sir. First of all, did you notice this? Let me take you to the introduction of cloud first. Okay, see. So, I mean, if you can't see, I'll zoom for you. So, 1 minute, please. Shortcut not working. Control equal to. Sorry. Yeah. So can you see this one now? So John McCarthy was the first person to introduce cloud. But again, it was not really a cloud concept. But what he said was, it was mainframe, IBM mainframe, right? Mainframe, time sharing, sir. You know, that's where the real idea for time sharing, meaning there is IBM mainframe system. People used to share time and use it, and they used to lend it out. And I mean, so that was the initial idea where the cloud concept got coined up. So John McCarthy technically is also called as father of cloud. And yeah, I mean, Amrita, when you said JC Licklider, right? So Licklider is also, because Licklider is the one who implemented ARPANET, meaning because of ARPANET only internet came. So ARPANET was the base for internet, if you read our basics earlier. And then actually, so cloud computing is defined by Mr. Ramnath Chellappa. This name will not come on Google. Okay, so I don't know why, but this is the introduction. And so again, this is from Gartner research, right? So Gartner and Constellation research cannot go wrong. Mostly is what I strongly believe. But cloud computing as an official name in 1997. So it's like recent technology itself. The name is coined by Mr. Ramnath Chellappa. So, I mean, if you can Google about him, and he's a scientist, and you will see it. He's a professor. And then, sir, after 1997, yeah, if you can see for many years, Salesforce. So this is unfortunate thing that Salesforce has not got the right credit for cloud, though they were the first early adapters of cloud. So because 1997, this cloud computing technology was announced, and then Salesforce was the cloud computing application, CRM, the first one which used cloud computing. After that, sir, Amazon, as I told just now, Jeff Bezos has got this idea about, do you see here? Elastic compute. Elastic compute means EC2 is what you call now. Logesh, who has AWS exposure already? Logesh, it's you, right, sir? No, not okay. Who said that I worked on AWS a little? Somebody in your introduction. Okay, I don't remember. But yeah, in Amazon, we have EC2. EC2 is nothing but Elastic Cloud Compute. That means virtual machines, sir. In Amazon, they call it EC2. In AWS, in Azure, we call it as virtual machines, VMs. So he was the one. He said, okay, I'm creating virtual machines. Come and use my machines and pay for me. Pay for what you use. So look at it once. In your data center, if you have virtual machines, you have to pay whether you use or not. Yes or no. If you have physical servers or virtual machines, anything, sir, you have to pay whether you use or not. You are running. Power is charged. Be it electricity, be it maintenance, be it anything, sir. Generators, diesel or petrol, or not petrol, diesel. So, to invest all this, it's a lot of money. Whether you're using or not, the show must go on. But it's not the case in Amazon, right? So if I don't want, I can shut down my machine. I will use it when I want. Pay as you go. I'll pay for what I use. Pay for what you use. So that concept. So he created a hard disk. Can you see initially what was launched? A hard disk in Amazon cloud. We call it S3 bucket. Somebody said S3 bucket. Who was that in the introduction?
It's me.
Amrita, there you go. So Amazon started S3 buckets first. I mean, that too when? 2006. And then after the 2006 race, many companies came into the. Let's say you'll go. If you Google this, you will also find this image on the cloud, on the internet. Please search for history of cloud. You'll get this. So this is how cloud has evolved. So today it's a huge market. Okay. Now, yeah, I mean, as I mentioned, John McCarthy is considered as father of cloud. JCR Licklider is considered as father of cloud. John Kemeny, Thomas Kurtz, of course, the major name Ramnath Chellappa. So all these people are considered as fathers of cloud, and that's it. Happy Father's Day. So that's all. I have nothing else to talk about the introduction and of the cloud. So this is how cloud evolved. So now, without wasting time, can we jump into the discussion, please? Next discussion. If you have any questions here. Anyways, this is introduction, so nothing much. So you can read these contents. And by the way, one second. 2006 Amazon launched, right, sir? Immediately after Amazon, these are the companies that started jumping in. So 2007, no one. 2008, Rackspace jumped in, and VMware jumped into the vCloud infrastructure. And after that, 2009, SoftLayer company. In 2010, IBM joined into the cloud era. And Azure, Microsoft Azure was launched in 2010. So by the time, sir, it's already 4 years for Amazon. So Amazon has become so strong in the market, right? By the time these all players started entering, but Amazon was already good at it. Small question to all of you. This also I need your help on Googling. Which is the #1 cloud provider right now in market? Now, this year, last year. There are rankings, right? So I hope you all are aware of Gartner report. So which is the #1 cloud provider? If you want to Google and tell. Is it Amazon? Is it Microsoft, Azure? Only majorly these two are the cloud providers. There are others also, Google and Oracle and many clouds are there. Alibaba Cloud is also there. Ali Cloud, China Cloud is what they call it in other words. It's serving many Chinese customers at the moment, and people are adapting to that as also. Alibaba Cloud. Yeah, while we are talking, so I can also open that. Let me open this link. Let us search.
AWS, Azure, Google Cloud.
Okay, so what link are you referring? Any specific link you are seeing, sir? Just curious to know.
No, Deepak. Just I'm searching.
Okay, you're searching. Okay, done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as I told you, Gartner, how many of you know Gartner as a company, please? Oh, not many of you know, sir. Gartner is an organization which announces cloud, not only cloud, any platforms, a database, Oracle, SQL Server, Java, .NET, and applications. And their job is to do research. Their job is to do research on the cloud specifically. So look at this one, the 2020 Gartner Magic Quadrant for Cloud Infrastructure and Platform Services. Okay. And it's, which company is on the top here? AWS. Okay, now, so I don't know the legitimacy because we really did not go to the Gartner website, but at least this picture shows that in the lead. Okay, let me open up and show you. This picture is not visible, but yeah, now I can show you. Can you see here? So every Gartner report has 4 quadrants. So being in the industry, we all should know Gartner report, and we should understand the Gartner report and give value for the Gartner report, because your so-called leadership, your CEOs, CIOs, and all everybody follows Gartner reports to see which is the number one. So, or which companies are trending. So if you can see in the leaders section, you can see AWS is step ahead, no doubt about it, and Microsoft is followed by it, and Google is following it. Ali Cloud and Oracle and IBM, and these are all some important clouds who are challenges. No, they are not. They are niche players. They are niche players. Visionaries means who have good thoughts, but not doing right. But yeah, these are niche players, one of the important players. But leaders are these 3. So yes, please, Microsoft Cloud is also one among the leaders. And of course, AWS started 4 years before. Okay. So definitely they will have their captivation there. They are a step ahead of Microsoft Cloud. Any questions? Then why shouldn't I learn AWS? Why should I learn Azure? Sorry, one cloud. Yeah, sorry, Logesh, go ahead.
Yeah. So whatever I know, I just want to share with you. So recently, right, most of the healthcare companies, they don't want to store their data in AWS. Okay, they prefer to go with Azure. First reason is they don't want to create any competitor, and they're suspecting that Amazon can read their data. So no application owners, they are not in confidence with AWS. So other thing what we are suspecting is this trend may go to the other service sectors, because if AWS, I mean, if Amazon is not doing their own work, right, if they are entering to multiple business, slowly we are thinking that they may lose their business. Especially we are seeing in our healthcare industry.
So guys, I mean, have you heard what Logesh mentioned? So it's a wonderful point which Logesh has raised. That is absolutely true that all the healthcare companies, right, who are especially into healthcare and clinical services, healthcare, especially this sector, are not showing interest to store data in the AWS space. The answer is very simple. Amazon is also entering into the healthcare industry. How can you keep your data with your competitor? Right? I mean, that's a simple logic. And Microsoft is not into the healthcare services yet, or not in future to an extent we are aware. Maybe we don't know, but as of now, no. So what people are doing is, I completely agree with you, Logesh, and this is a trending discussion in all the healthcare. And I'm sure you have this update because you also are partially working for a healthcare, or is it just an update that you have? Just asking.
Healthcare.
Absolutely right, sir. So that's why people are interested to all healthcare industries are looking at Azure as a valuable option for them because they can't rely on. Yeah. So blogs, right? I mean, of course, I'm reading through blogs. Amazon specifies AWS revenue. So please read this one, sir. While Amazon specifies AWS revenue, Microsoft only reports on Azure growth rate. Fine. The number is 50% revenue growth over previous quarter, which is faster than 46% growth analysts expected. So meaning if you really look at the trending data, sir, this is your AWS growth in the last many years. Okay. And if you are seeing Azure data, where are you? Yeah. So which cloud, look at the percentages, please. Which is a major percentage share, which holds major percentage share? 32%. AWS. So earlier AWS was big player. Now, if you can see, Microsoft has come up to 19-20%. So they are very close. Microsoft is growing at a very, very, very fast pace. And sir, this blog that you are seeing now is how old? Yeah, it's just like hardly 2 months old. So if you can see, sir, Amazon share is day by day reducing, and Azure share is day by day growing. Logesh, will you agree with this? I don't know. I don't want to create a debate between you and me about Oracle and SQL Server, sir, but that is universal truth now that for the last 6 years consecutively, SQL Server is #1 in the database space, sir, followed by Oracle. This is what Gartner report says for the last 6 years continuously in the terms of revenue. Features wise, Oracle is undoubtedly the best and advanced technology, sir. But from revenue side, if we can see, so but by the way, so Oracle was #1, SQL Server was #2, but gradually they closed that gap and they did this for databases. Same thing is happening in the Azure space. Amazon was #1, Azure was #2. Slowly they're closing the gaps. Third, their market share was more than 50% or so, AWS. Now it's like, it has come down to 32% or so as per the recent data that you are seeing. So any answer, look at the overall cloud business. The cloud business is the trending right now everywhere. Okay, so Microsoft, Azure, Google Cloud, other clouds, and AWS. Any questions anybody have on this one? So I can share this link with you in our WhatsApp group also. Any questions anybody have for me? Last, because I'm moving to the next topic, sir, because these are all things we will not get a chance to talk later. So just right time to discuss them. Yes, sir. I pinged in WhatsApp. Yeah. Any questions anybody have? Okay, cool, sir. Now, can I go back to the slides, please? Just want to talk. Yes.
What is the major difference between AWS and Azure Cloud?
So, see, concepts are same. To be frank with you. By the way, when we discuss about Azure Cloud, right? I will show you our competitor space, sir. We will see that. I mean, at least the names wise, we are not learning that. But Ram, if we are good at Azure, right, sir? If you are very good at, lots of our KDSSG previous Azure batches, 13 batches have completed. So many of them, once learning Azure, they started exploring AWS also for their office requirements. So it's the same. I mean, if you have a storage here, okay, names might change, commands might change, interface might change, but concept doesn't change. So Ram, if I'm creating a storage in Microsoft Azure, we call it as storage account, okay? And I can create a S3 bucket in AWS. Both are storage accounts. Both are storage only. So naming wise, it's different, sir. Conceptually, if I create a VNet, we call it virtual network, VNet in Microsoft space, you call it VPC in Amazon space, VPC. That's also virtual private, it's also network. So the names may change, sir. We call it NSG here, network security groups. In Azure, we call it as security groups. Sorry, sir. In Azure, we call it as network security groups. In AWS, we call it as security groups. So this is the naming difference. Other than that, concepts will remain the same. VM, EC2. Load balancer, load balancer. Everything, sir. I mean, mostly common names or little name change here and there. Okay, perfect. Thank you. So that is the difference. Technically, all cloud platforms are same. If somebody knows one cloud platform solid, very strong, it would be very easy to adapt other cloud platforms very easily. Okay, sir. So yeah, I mean, all put together, I've shared this link with you because this is a recent link that came out. If you're interested, you can read it through it. And there are other blogs also I can open, and ZNet is also there. Yeah, so ZNet blog also, so please read it. Let's recent data. I'm not talking about anything. I'm not pulling anything unnecessary or old blogs and saying recent data is what you're seeing. 2021 data. But it's not opening. Okay, so while that opens, yeah. Got it, sir? I mean, this headline is sufficient. Can we move on now? AWS is still number one. There is no second thought about it. But nonetheless, Azure and Google Cloud are growing faster. Okay, so with please Google for these things and you will find them. Yeah. Okay, sir. Now I just want to take out to the next discussion, please. So now till here we talked about introduction. Till now we talked about how clouds have been evolving. We have another 15 minutes more. Then we can wrap up the class. Is that okay for today? 15 minutes more. Yeah. So there are different types of clouds. The different types of clouds. First of all, I think most of you know this, would have heard this terminologies, right? Public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid clouds. So these are different types of clouds. Tomorrow I'll talk more in detail about them. I want to explain and give you with the scenarios what is a public cloud. Today I'll just give, because 15 minutes is not sufficient to talk about the whole topic, but on a glimpse we will discuss. So, but tomorrow we'll talk in detail. So public cloud, private cloud, hybrid cloud. And again, there are different other types of cloud also. Nowadays, okay, we will talk tomorrow. So first of all, sir, what is, let's start with different types of cloud. Let's start with private cloud. Now, so private cloud is nothing but, in simple words, if we have to say, all our companies have data centers. Amrita, you will have your own data centers for your organization. Ram, I'm sure you have their respective data centers for data avail of their own. Ramto, Sudhir, I mean, everybody's a couple, all of us have our own data centers without a second thought. Now, sir, each data center of your company, of your own company, can also be called as a private cloud. Sir, data center of your company, of your own company, can be called as a private cloud. Where is cloud here? This is not cloud. This is my own company's, my own data center. No problem, sir. Your own company's, your own data center can be called as a private cloud. There is nothing wrong if you coin a terminology and say, my company's data center is a private cloud. Agreed, sir. Can you see the screen here? So on the left-hand side, there is one scenario of private cloud, and right-hand side, there is a second scenario of private cloud. Let's look at the first scenario of the private cloud. What is this? There's an office, correct? And there's another head office and branch office, assume like this. So now they are not physically connected through a cable or something. Okay, they are not, but of course they are connected through a what? Internet, right? A VPN, virtual private network. There isn't any physical connection. Through open internet, through VPN, there's a safe channel created, and these two data centers are coordinating with each other, connecting with each other. Okay, so you put some servers here, you put some servers here. If this server crashes, this will take over and all that. So you have built like this. Where are the data centers located? In company or in Microsoft? Company, in your own company. This is your branch office. This is one more branch office of yours. So the data is located in your office itself, right, sir? It's not in Microsoft data center. It's located in your office itself. Perfect. This is one scenarios. But KD, this is existing setup. My company already has it. So even then, you can call it a private cloud because you are using some cloud solutions for connections. That's it. This also can be called as a private cloud. And look at the second one, sir. The second one, if you look here, this also is called as a private cloud, meaning customer doesn't want to keep any servers with them. Customer does not want to keep any servers with them, unnecessary cost for them, managing maintenance, generator, power, all these challenges. So they moved all their servers to hosting provider like Amazon or Azure or somewhere, sir. And they told Amazon and Azure that, hey, in your data center, I want a separate space, or I want a special treatment. I want you to give me a special treatment, special focus. I am a private cloud customer. I am a valuable customer and I'll pay you more. Treat me special, I'll pay you more. Simple, sir. That's how the logic is. Treat me special, I'll pay you more. Public cloud is on the different side. So first of all, any questions on this one? So in a private cloud, the servers can be in your own office. Option scenario 1, sir. Or in a private cloud, servers can be in providers, meaning Amazon or Azure or Google Cloud or any other clouds that you have. So the servers can be in your provider's location also. Is that clear? Or anybody have any questions, please? Any questions, sir? Good. This is private cloud. And by the way, customer is telling that, hey, give me special treatment. I'll pay you something. I'll pay you more. That's all. So look at this. Private clouds can be expensive with, compared to normal public clouds. So next one is, when do we use private clouds? Okay. This I will talk tomorrow. Is that okay? To give a detailed explanation, I'll talk, because I need to explain each and every word, sir. What is data sovereignty? What is regulatory compliance? What is risk profile? What do you mean by legacy applications? What do you mean by pre-existing investments and all that? So we will talk about this in detail later. So, okay, I'll talk. Public cloud. So public cloud means this is public for all. Anybody can use it. It's public for all. You use it, I use it, we all use it. It's a shared thing. So if you can see here, right? Microsoft will create as many virtual, V means virtual machines, as many virtual machines as you want, hundreds and thousands. Logesh can use it, I can use it, Amrita can use it, Kapil can use it, Ram can use it, Ram to Sudhir, Naveen, anybody can use it. So, and what does that mean, sir? You all are sharing. We all are sharing. And so we don't care where Microsoft stores. So where Microsoft keeps the machines and all, we will not question, because it's public sharing. So gmail.com is a free service. Do you question Google that where are my data centers and all that? No, you don't. Gmail is a free service. Okay, wait. In Gmail, there is a paid service as well. I use some. My mail ID is kd@kdssg.com. We are integrated with Google for all our mail services. So Gmail, we are also using email. I am also using Gmail. You're also using Gmail. Differences? I'm paying for Gmail. You're using it for free. That's the difference. So now I'm paying, but that doesn't mean I can go and demand Google and say, hey, but again, so I'm just like another customer, right? Will I get better service than you? Yes, I will get much more services than you, because I'm paying for Google services, sir. So, and then there may be another customer who goes to Google and says, I'm going to give you 1 lakh emails, 2 lakh emails, because, sir, you know how much they charge? Around 150, 200 rupees per email per month. Yeah, I mean, just telling you, that is the cost for Google mail services. 200, yeah, 250, I think. I don't remember exactly. So sir, something like that. And if I give 1 lakh customer, 1 lakh emails, then I become a big customer for Google. So like that, sir. If I am just like a free Gmail provider, it's public cloud. Everybody can use it, but Microsoft will decide where to keep their data centers and all that. So in a public cloud, you get for cheaper cost, but you can't question Microsoft and say, I demand this service, I demand that service. Use what you have. Use what they give. So this is public clouds. Which one is better? I think you know the answer. Public cloud is better or private cloud is better, sir?
Private.
Depends on the requirement.
But that is true, sir. But normally, from a customer perspective, where will I get better service? Private cloud. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So private cloud gives you better services. Cost is also high. So I think with this, sir. So, and what is a third one? Combination of both, sir. In some, as Ram said, it depends on your requirement. Sometimes you may want public, sometimes you may want private, sir. So if you combine both, if you combine public and private, see, now I have on-premises, see, I have data centers in office, sir. Plus extra, I want to create some extra VMs, extra machines. I will use public cloud. So I'm using both private cloud plus public cloud combination. That is technically called as a hybrid cloud. Any questions? I think with this, we will hold off here, sir, because I wanted to talk about each and every word in detail in tomorrow's discussion. And then tomorrow we will create a virtual mission as well to start with, a simple virtual mission. Because, and then I will talk about IaaS, infrastructure as a service. We'll talk about platform as a service and software as a service. We'll complete these three. And tomorrow itself, we'll create a small virtual mission. Basic virtual machine. And they have actually, sir, please count this weekend as a warm-up weekend. Do not count this weekend as a really technical weekend. Is that okay, everyone, sir? Because we'll just wait for other friends also to join the league with us. If others are not, if not many people are joining, sir, doesn't matter. Even with you all, we will continue the class. Classes will continue. It's not about count, and we don't based on. You're not driven by count. Okay. Yeah, so they mentioned, right, different, you pinged it only to me. Different terminologies, concepts are same. Correct. In cloud, it's terminology difference. Concepts are technically same. So today, what did we go through? The evolution, and we saw where do we stand on the, which company, who started this cloud and all. John McCarthy coined this IBM mainframes, time sharing. And after that, JCR Licklider, ARPANET. And from there, Ramnath Chellappa has introduced this cloud computing terminology. And after that, many other companies came forward, like, 1997 was the official year where this cloud computing was introduced. And in 1999, what is this company called? Salesforce started the cloud first. And then after that, Salesforce kicked off. Other companies came in, like, Amazon was the first company for selling virtual machines. Jeff Bezos is the richest man because he got the thought first to sell virtual machines to people, sell storage to people in 2006. And rest is the history. You know what happened to Amazon after that. Okay. So that's all, sir. That's all. So he was not selling only books, by the way. Along with selling books, he thought of selling virtual machines and storage. That changed the game for them. And now they are into Blue Moon and different services. And oh God, Amazon is into everything almost. Okay, so sir, in this course, Amazon will be our competitor, right? In this course, Amazon is not our friend. So we will debate with Amazon. I'll talk to you, sir, which is good and which is bad. So again, positive edge. And anybody wants to represent Amazon, I'll be more than happy. You and I will debate. Okay, let the days come forward, so we will talk about that.